Hi kids, welcome to PLAID Kidz. Today we're going to
Hi,
continue...
Miss Donna. What have you been up to?
Well, hi Rudy, I love your shirt. Is it new?
It is. I got it at basketball camp. In fact, all of us kids got one at basketball camp. Don't you like it?
I love it. So that's where you've been.
Uh-huh.
That's great. How did you like basketball camp? Did you have fun?
Oh, yeah, it was really cool. Except we were indoors the whole time. It rained all week long. And, well, we were supposed to have a campfire and a cookout every night, but we didn't get to. We were going to cook hot dogs and marshmallows and my favorite, s'mores.
Oh, I'm sorry. It rained every night?
Well, no, not actually. It didn't rain at the nights. Actually, it quit raining by then, but the wood was so wet that Pastor Stan couldn't get the fire started with it.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Too bad you didn't have Elijah with you. You know, he would have been able to start the fire for you.
Wait, what? Elijah? Oh, this is another one of those Bible stories, isn't it, Miss Donna?
It sure is. Come on, kids. We can learn about Elijah. Okay, so here we go, kids. We're going to learn about our lesson today, and it's about the prophet Elijah. We're going to learn a little bit more about him. We learned last week that he was a messenger of God. All right, he was very faithful and very obedient to God, and God knew that. So God would tell him things, and in turn, he would go and tell the people what God wanted them to know. All right, so we're going to learn, there's our Elijah. And we learned last week that God knew King Ahab was not being very obedient to God. He was following a false god, the god of Baal. All right, and God was not happy about it to the point where he told Elijah to go and tell King Ahab that they would not have rain for a very long time because they were not following God, the Lord of Israel. So now it's 3 years later, and God's speaking to Elijah, and he's telling him, I want you to go back and speak to the King Ahab and tell him something that now, maybe perhaps now, if they do the right thing, they will have rain. So there he is, and he's going to speak to King Ahab. And I don't know about you boys and girls, but I'm thinking 3 years without water. Oh my goodness. So nothing is growing. People don't have water. Animals don't have water, so things are dying. All right, so King Ahab is not happy with Elijah. And you know what? He's going to try to blame Elijah. But Elijah tells him, it's not because of me. It's because you were disobeying God. All right, so he's telling him, well, what we could do is if you gather all your people, all your prophets, your 450 false prophets of the god Baal, bring them along with all the people of Israel, and you come and meet me at Mount Carmel. We can figure things out. So, you know, King Ahab had no other choice. He's thinking, I need to have rain. So he gathered all the people, and they met at Mount Carmel. And there they are. And Elijah's going to speak to them. And Elijah's telling the people, he's saying, you know, you have to choose between the God of Israel, our Lord God, or that false God, the God of Baal. You've got to make a decision. You can't worship both and believe in both because our God, the Lord God of Israel, is a jealous God. And he created everything and he wants us to obey him and him only. All right? And he tried to let the people know that, but the people didn't say anything. So he thought, well, how am I going to do this? And through God's instruction, it was kind of like a contest, if you want to say. He told the people the false prophets of Baal, and there's 450 of them, he told them, what I want you to do is build an altar to your god Baal. And I want you to build it, and we'll put a cow on there to have as a sacrifice. And then I'm going to want you to worship your God and ask your God to send down from the heavens fire to start this sacrifice. So that's what they did. They gathered their stones and their sticks and they put the pieces of the cow on there, and they were going to wait for their God to start this. So, of course, Elijah let them go first, and that's exactly what they did. And they started off and they started to shout to their God, "Oh, Baal, hear us." And that went on. And then they started to actually dance around it and shout again, "Oh, Baal, answer us, hear us." nothing. There was nothing. There was no answer from Baal. And they started to get desperate. And, Elijah's watching them. And Elijah's thinking, well, he started to tease them a little bit. He's saying, well, maybe your God is sleeping. Maybe he doesn't hear you. Maybe he's not there. Teasing them. And you know what? They got so desperate that they started to cut themselves to make themselves bleed. And they thought, well, maybe our God Baal will hear us now and feel sorry for us, see us that we're bleeding. Maybe he'll bring down the fire for us now. But what do you think? Do you think that happened? No. Because the God of Baal, he was a false god. So Elijah said to them, come on over here. And he started to build his altar. So I just want you to see, there they went around, and they're going around, and they're talking, and they're chanting, and they're shouting. Then they're cutting themselves like we talked about, and still nothing. Well, here is Elijah, and he's starting, and he's only one person. He's starting to build his altar, and he's putting his stones there, and he's getting everything ready, putting his wood, putting his pieces of the cow there. And one thing he did a little different is he dug a little trench, like a little trough right around the outside. And I'm wondering, what's that all about? Well, when he got done, he asked the people to get 4 jugs of water, 4 big jars of water, and pour it over. Now, boys and girls, if you're thinking like I'm thinking, what did we just learn from Rudy? Remember, he was at camp and he couldn't make his s'mores and do his cookout because what did Pastor Stan say? It had rained and everything was wet and they couldn't get the fire started. Well, what's he doing having them pour all this water on here? Well, that's what they did. They put the 4 jars of water on, and that wasn't that bad. He told them to put another 4 jars on. So they did. And you know what else? He had them put another 4 jars on. So they had 12 jars of water. And I'm thinking, 12 jars of water, and it hadn't rained in 3 years. That water was very valuable to those people. So he's being very wasteful. If this isn't going to go anywhere, and he's pouring it over this trough, and all the wood, and everything is getting drenched. And then what does he do? He starts to pray, and he goes right up to the altar, and he begins to pray. And this is the prayer he says. And he makes sure that he says it loud enough for all the people to hear. He was praying to the one true God. O Lord God of Israel, let these people know today that you are the one true God. Let the people know that I am your servant. Let them know that I have done all these things because you have told me to. And what do you think happens? Boom! Fire comes from the heavens. It's ignited. It's not only ignited, but the cow is burning, the wood is burning, the stone begins to burn, the ground begins to burn, and all that water that had flowed is all burned up. It's all gone. It's evaporated. Wow! And what do you think the people said? They got down on their knees, they laid down, and they started to pray, the Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God. See, they realized that He was, our Lord God of Israel, was the one true God. And they were sorry, and they turned to God. And as a result, you know what happened? God blessed them with the rain, and the rains came. So what a very valuable lesson that was. I mean, it talks about faith, and sometimes, we learned last week about faith that sometimes you don't even see it or you don't know what to expect, but you believe and you have trust. And that's what we're supposed to have in God. Just like Elijah, he wasn't, he didn't see this fire coming. He didn't know. He was praying to God that this would happen. He had to be obedient and have trust in God. And God was obedient and and showed him what he needed. And that's a great story and a great lesson for each and every one of us to know and learn from, that we need to follow God. And so when we come back tomorrow, we're going to do something a little different than we usually do. It's not going to be a craft. It's kind of going to be like a little bit of a brain teaser. And all you're going to need is a piece of paper. And I'm going to show you something before we get started. You're going to start out with a piece of paper, just like this. And I'm going to have you basically fold it in half, and you're going to cut it in half, okay? Or tear it in half, all right? So you're going to have a half a piece, and we're going to go from this to this. So I'm giving you a head start. so you can see something that seems impossible, just like Elijah, or the people thinking that, how is this going to happen? Through God, all things are possible, but also this brain teaser is going to teach you that you can go from this to this, all right? So we're going to check back with Rudy and see if he learned something from the lesson and how he's doing, all right? See you in a little bit. Well, Rudy, what'd you think?
That was awesome! I love Elijah, the way Elijah prayed and God burnt up all the wet wood and, well, everything else, the stones and everything. Hey, Miss Donna, I got a question.
Yes.
Can I pray this week?
Absolutely. Let's bow our heads, kids.
Thank you. Dear God, thank you so much for this story. It was such an awesome story. And thank you so very much for Miss Donna and PLAID Kidz and all the kids that watch. Please protect them and please protect me too. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Hey, you know what, Miss Donna? I'm thinking that Elijah's fire wouldn't really have made a good campfire because, well, everything burned up and went to God.
That's true, Rudy. All your marshmallows and chocolate for your s'mores would have been burned up.
Well, really, that's okay. I don't like chocolate or marshmallows.
Wait a minute. You like s'mores, but you don't like chocolate or marshmallows? But all that is left is graham crackers.
Exactly. I love graham crackers!
Oh, Rudy. Say goodbye to the kids.
Bye, kids.
Bye,
See you
kids.
next week.
See you next
Bye.
week.